All right, welcome into the Knoll Road. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 1-1 after a fourth quarter from hell against Seattle. But bigger than that, do the Steelers have an identity crisis on their hands as the defense suddenly looks vulnerable? We're going to do some overreaction or reality here as the Steelers are 1-1. We'll talk about the game and where the team goes from here. Here we go.
To the corner of the end zone. Oh, for a touchdown!
All right, welcome in. Do all the things, like and sub and leave a comment down below as we're going to go through these overreaction or reality. I'm Gavin Dawson along with New Bear. Let's get right to it, my man, because first up, overreaction or reality, the Steelers defense is just not that good. What do you think, man? I mean, some of these stats, 10 straight games of allowing the opposition to gain 300 yards. That's the longest active streak in the NFL, allowing 28 points per game over the last 10 games. Fields and Darnold have gone into the 30s on you. And Kenneth Walker really broke him down there in the second half with some back-breaking runs. I don't see a lot to like here, New Bear. I'm just hoping they can get this figured out as the season goes on.
The most troubling part of it is that both the week before, the team they played the week before looked terrible. The team they played the next week looked terrible, right? I mean, Justin Fields came crashing back to earth.
One of the worst games of the last 10 years from any quarterback in the league.
And the Seahawks just aren't a good football team. And
no.
You wake up today or you go to bed last night or whatever the case may be, and you go, I want to hear something. I want to hear something from a player. I want to hear something from a coach that leads me to believe change is going to come because the product that you're putting out is not good enough. And then you hear Tomlin saying, I don't know that you do anything dramatically different. And he uses all his coach speak and Tomlin speak and talks about the preparation to play and individually and collectively this and talking about the mystique and how there isn't any mystique from week to week. And then TJ Watt is basically backing that up saying, we know what we're supposed to do. We're not getting it done.
Yeah, they might know what they're supposed to do, but here's TJ Watt. Let's go to him post game at the podium talking about how deflating this is.
TJ, what is going on with run defense? They had a number of long runs against you guys. Part of the tackling, what's happening?
I don't know, man. We're going to have to look at it and break it down. Clearly, it's the same issues are rearing their head from last week. And in the NFL, you don't have time to go back after each and every game and make the adjustments. You need to make the adjustments before they happen and if they happen in game, before they're allowed to continue to snowball like they did today and like they did last week. So back to the drawing board. I'm sure there's a multitude of different reasons why this is happening. But we're way too talented. We have way too good of schemes to allow this to continue to happen week after week.
Do you agree with that, New Bear? They're too talented to allow this to happen week after week. I think once you're at 10 games of this happening, you have a crisis on your hands, and you can't trust your schemes. You can't trust that you have all the right players. You have to consider everything as a possible solution for what ails you.
I mean, it's why football is the greatest team sport, because there's just more people that have to do more things right together to get the job done. And I know you're going to go into some of the minutia, and I know we're talking about overreaction versus reality. You just asked a very simple question. Is this team too talented to be playing like this? Yes, they are, except for the fact that where they have the pain points on both sides of the ball disrupts everything from the start.
I mean, they really can't get great play from the interior of the defensive line or their linebackers right now, and nobody's stepping up and solving the problem from safety. It looks like a team that has, maybe gotten a little bit old, and big physical players in the middle like Keanu Benton that you had promised for are getting pushed all over the place. Like,
he's big. Is he physical? That's right.
Right. It's kind of like Broderick Jones on the defensive side of the ball. So I would say at this point, you can't believe in your personnel anymore. I think after this many games and just looking at who those players are fundamentally, Cam Hayward's age maybe catching up to him a little bit. Y.A. Black, not experienced enough. And then your rookie's not there. I mean, let's also give the organization a little bit credit for drafting Derek Harmon and maybe anticipating that this was becoming a reality for them, and they're not able to reap the harvest from that, what I think is a good draft pick yet.
So the catch-22 of this whole thing is the rock fight, punt on third down, defense wins championships, man. The vanilla Minka Fitzpatrick playing Ken Griffey Jr. center field keeps you from having things happen like are happening, because Bill Belichick, death by 1,000 paper cuts from the 20 to 20 doesn't matter. It's what happens when you get down in the red zone. You bog down, you make plays, you force teams to kick field goals, you win low scoring games. When you get players and you then say, I'm no longer afraid, I can do all this fun stuff. Let's blitz, let's match up zone, let's do X, Y, Z, whatever, however you want to cut it. Now they have to communicate. You have to teach, and then you have to go out on the field and practice. Then you have to go out on the field on game day and execute. You can see on plays where Ramsey's getting beat, he's looking inside expecting to have safety help. That's a communication problem. That's a teaching thing. That's one type of problem. Before you even get there, though, you've got inside linebackers, plural, getting deboed by a fullback on one, both of them taken out on one play on a hole that I could have run through. Not even baby bus. A former lineman could have run behind that fullback. And then because of that, and because of what's not happening up front on the nose, you have Patrick Queen and company having to take chances. And they're trying to not freelance, but trying to get where they've got to ultimately go off angle and before they need to be there. And Peyton Wilson's guilty of it too, where they're taking bad angles and you might get a play here and there, but then you're out of position. You literally run into each other and take each other out. I mean, it's fascinating to watch right now because you've been waiting for them to try to do different things. And now they have like one or two things that are keeping them from being able to do anything.
As this defense was starting to fall apart last year, I thought, well, that's a result of the Ravens, and then you get the Jets week 1. But now the sustained sample size of this, I'm going to say that's not an overreaction. I think it's a reality. The Steelers have a massive issue. They need to fix scheme or have young players arrive or have veteran players find the fountain of youth. 1 week after the Seahawks didn't have a run longer than 9 yards, Kenneth Walker had 4 runs of at least 15. Including his 19-yard touchdown pass that cemented the outcome with 3:41 to play. A week after he threw for $150, Sam Darnold sliced and diced the Steelers secondary for 295 yards. And the Steelers surrendered 10 explosive plays to the Jets in week 1, third most, 12 to the Seahawks in week 2. That was the most in that noon slate. Jets and Seahawks not explosive when not facing the Steelers. I don't know how many more data points you need. I guess at this point you think there's enough veteran know-how in here. It is a long season. This wouldn't be the biggest surprise if Pittsburgh could get on the same page and figure out how to play defense, but I wouldn't bet on it at this point. I think you're below 50% probability that this becomes a good defense by the end of the season. How about you, Wisniewski?
My problem with this whole thing and what TJ Watt said at the presser that you just played is that when we talk about how there's not enough time to do X, Y, or Z, or the NFL is a week-to-week league, or whatever cliche or matter-of-fact way you want to talk about the mystique that Tomlin thinks doesn't exist. What are you doing then from week to week? Are you just treating it like a scrimmage? Like you've got 17 scrimmages over the course of 18 weeks and all that matters?
Let me hit that real quick. I think the lack of quality on both lines of scrimmage kind of gave them solace from the fact that they had fundamental issues. I think your offense can't punish the defense. Your defense was getting the best of the offense, and we thought, oh, that means they're good. No, it meant your offensive line's pretty poor.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a fascinating.
Because training camp looked good, didn't it? I thought we were taking steps in the right direction.
It's a fascinating thing right now because I don't know how early in the show you want to go to Caleb Williams, but I said before we got on, you said how we doing, buddy? And the first thing out of my mouth was Kaleb Johnson. I just called him Caleb Williams. I apologize.
Yeah.
Caleb
All good.
Johnson. Caleb Johnson needs to start and get 15, 18 carries to find out if he can play in this league, or he needs to be cut. Like
Yeah.
he returned 2 kickoffs the last 2 years in college, and he's not a traits guy. He's a battering ram RB1, and you've got 2 third down backs masquerading as your RB1, and the guy who should be out there playing hammer and nail and power and ISO and all the different things that you talk about playing 3 yards in a cloud of dust, slobber knock, old time football doesn't know rules are from the thing that you've tasked him to do. And in 2 weeks, you've put him in a position to basically get TKO'd. I actually thought he was going to be in concussion protocol, and then played like he was concussed this week. And I can't, when you talk about the way that they're breaking things down relative to where it's going to go, you're right, it is a long season. But my point about treating every week like the game within a game, everyone talks about how it's a 1 week season. You were playing the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. You neither played the Seattle Seahawks because you sure as shit didn't scheme to them to stop them and take away things that they do well, or put yourself in a position to dominate them and run away and just do whatever you want to do. But you also didn't come out doing, what do you do? All this talk about 12 and 13 and we're going to put all these tight ends out there. You can't run a passing game in this league with 3 tight ends if it's not a play action based, we're grounded and pounded and then we're throwing it over your heads. Because now, instead of having 2 or 3 fast receivers run out there, you got 2 or 3 guys that many other dudes on the defense can cover. So they're not force feeding DK. They're not dictating with personnel. What are they doing? Like if you're coming out there and treating this like a 1 week season, you're treating the Seattle Seahawks as a game. This is how we win this game. That's one thing. Coming out, if they would have lost this game and it would have been ugly and they would have run the ball, 30 times for 99 yards, and you go, man, this running game's, at least we would know who this team is trying to be. Right now, we have no idea what that is going into week 3.
I think that's a good point. I think they want to be a power running game that can get play action going, but that's just not going to work if you can't run the ball. Overreaction or reality, I was going to do Kaleb Johnson just needs to not play. I love the idea of cutting him or starting him. I don't think he's ready to start, though. And I think this kind of really puts a spotlight on a point that we were making in the middle of training camp as we were trying to get a handle on, is this team Super Bowl ready? And I said, you don't have a star running back, a star offensive line, or a star play caller, and you could argue that you need at least 2 out of those 3 to have a really good running game. But we talked about how, Artie learned from the LaFleur Shanahan coaching tree back in 2019 when a lot of it was outside zone. Since then, the trends have shifted more to power schemes, gap schemes, and the Steelers have not really evolved with the kind of motions that you're seeing around the league to give players an edge, to put them in space based on scheme alone, right? Get a couple of blocks right, and the plan is to have this guy wide open while the defense, is really realizing for the first time since this play started that the ball's actually going to the other side of the field, right? That is what is winning in today's NFL if you don't have the absolute best personnel. And I don't see any of that from the Steelers. So how are you going to develop a good running game with these 3 running backs without a great offensive line? I mean, your center is fantastic. Let's kick him out. But everybody else is either mid or below average. So, reality's hitting them in the face in a big way. And I think a lot of it is just the unfortunate reality that you kind of swung and miss on 2 first-round tackles. I think your guards are good enough, but not with tackles like this.
How about giving them a chance to be successful, though? Like if Broderick Jones is struggling to punch and to pass protect, and you're not just going to park Mount Washington next to him and say, hey, we're playing with 4 eligibles receivers, right? Because we're keeping 6 men in all the time. which is a completely different conversation that I don't even want to get into. And I apologize. My kids brought some super fun stuff home from school, and I feel like I can barely breathe when I wake up right now. So if you're not going to do that with Mount Washington, how about taking the things they do well? Meaning Broderick Jones is super athletic. He's strong as hell. Fatanu is the same way. This whole offensive line is big, strong, and athletic. That is why you drafted Kaleb Johnson. That is why you have to say, if it's not going to be him, if you don't trust him because he doesn't know the pass protections or he won't put his face in the fan, then don't play him on third down. But play him on first and second down and find out. Because the thing the Seahawks did do yesterday, and when I talk about being stubborn on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose, everyone wants to talk about Kenneth Walker and his 8 yards a carry, right? He goes over 100 yards with a tutty on 13 carries. Charbonnet was awful. Charbonnet averaged less than a yard per carry. Charbonnet had 15 carries for 10 yards. But doing that and the threat of that and having to respect that means the other guy has a chance to pop off like Walker did, like Warren could. Let's just say they bottle up Kaleb. Warren can still cook. Warren can do everything he did yesterday off of what Kaleb Johnson would do. The Seahawks just did it to you. Oh, by the way, what do they have? One legit wide receiver one. JSN.
Yeah, bad offensive line. Yeah.
JSN is nasty, right?
He is. Yeah, he's great.
Cooper Kupp, everyone said he was washed after week one. Cooper Kupp gave you yesterday what he is, what he's going to be, which is a quality possession receiver playing off of JSN, right?
Yeah.
He's a veteran. You can trust him to be. Steelers don't have that. So instead of looking at what you don't have, and instead of us and everyone else talking about Cheetah, Terry McLaurin before it, or what's to come, how about looking at what you do have and playing to their strengths?
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine playing him more after that big of a mistake. Like that to me says you're a rookie who the game is too big for right now. I can't put more stuff on your plate. Now, maybe
as a kick returner, though, as a kick returner, he's not a kick returner. That's coaching. Like with the new kick rules, this isn't 5 years ago. Like with the new kick rules, kick returns are being returned more than they ever have. It's more interesting than ever. And there's a chance for it to be a game-breaking thing. Turpin and others like him in Dallas are a weapon for the teams that they weaponize the return game through. Throwing Kaleb Johnson back there as your kick returner, to me, says that they just don't care about that facet of the game. They don't care about special teams. You're not throwing a kid a bone saying, here's how you're still going to get to touch the ball, because he's not learning or doing anything.
But you got to take some personal responsibility for yourself. Like as the player, you're in pro football. I mean,
I'm not talking about the rules.
Do you not know that if the ball rolls into the end zone, you can go pick it up? That's either stupid, you don't love football, you don't watch football, you're overthinking it out there. Like, how is that your reaction? I don't get it. And what has he done in the run game, either in preseason or in the 2 or 3 reps that he's gotten so far, to give you confidence that he's going to do something big? I could see saying, hey, this kid is lacking confidence. Maybe he's overthinking it. Let's give him the ball 25 times and see if we can get him comfortable over the next couple of weeks. I could see that. But I wouldn't bet on that happening. I think Kaleb Johnson's overwhelmed. He knows he's not good enough for the league right now. That's what that is. That's lack of confidence. Sorry.
No. I'm stepping on you, dude. 4.57, but more important than the 4.57, 1.62 split. Like he is one of the slowest starting backs in this class, but then 6'1", 220. His game is battering ram. What we saw enough of him in the preseason that the things that were left wanting from him were trusting the line, were staying in there and getting on the track and staying on the track and coming through the track. The things you learn with reps. At the same time, all we were talking about, excuse me, was the Le'Veon Bell comparisons with the vision and the burst and the ability to kind of stop and start and make the most of what he does have. That is all I'm asking for. I'm not saying that you reward the kid and he comes out and he gets 20 carries because, hey, guess what? This failed experiment from the beginning that we knew it failed. He's not a kick returner. And I'm not taking any of the onus off him for not knowing the rules. What I'm saying is this is the most glaring thing that came from a game of glaring things where the coaches are putting people in position to make mistakes.
Yeah, and we'll get to what Tomlin said here before too long. I don't think you can chalk this game up to a special teams play swung it against us like the special teams play swung it for us in week 1 against the Jets. Okay, number 3, overreaction or reality. There's too much pressure on Rodgers to believe he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL this season.
I mean, you saw the throw to Freiermuth that he dropped, right? Like,
yeah,
he looked, I said early, whatever he said about his back last week and maybe being a little bit tight, he definitely looked like he was moving around better this week. He's still not vintage, and he will never be that again, even 2 years post-Achilles. I mean, Kobe Bryant wasn't Kobe Bryant after the Achilles. Like, it is what it is at that age. But he looks plenty good enough with the magic in that right arm to do basically anything that you ask of him. What I'm saying is, why are they asking everyone else and then including him to do things that they're not good at? Like, why are you putting people in a position to fail? Why are you not maximizing the opportunity and saying, you know what? We got this big, nasty, athletic, strong line. We're going to go road grade some people. And you know what, Dawson, if you don't think Kaleb Johnson's good enough and he's not ready, you just paid Jalen Warren. You said he's your running back 1. Then give him the damn ball. Like, don't tell me.
You're just not getting the holes, though. I don't know how you expect Kaleb Johnson to start making magic out of, what Warren and Gainwell are struggling with. He's just not that athletic or gifted.
So I'm talking about the size difference. Same way you talk about Kenneth Walker versus Zach Charbonnet. So maybe you have a game where Kaleb Johnson has 10 carries for 15 yards or 15 carries for 10 yards like Charbonnet did yesterday, and then Warren squirts out the back because they're worn down. They're gonna take turns. They're gonna have, like, Charbonnet will have a day where he has 5
you want
carries.
War Rock fight right now.
What else are they gonna do? If they don't keep Aaron Rodgers clean, he's not gonna see week 18.
Yeah. Man, I hope I wish I could find the optimism for you, but right now I'm feeling like this is checkmate. Your line is below average, your scheme is below average, your running backs are average. Like, unfortunately, this is the reality. You were hoping to win with a dominant defense that's giving up 30 points per game. I mean, I don't want to wave the white flag 2 weeks in, but I'm starting to feel like, man, our idea is that the Steelers should be trading for more players to push you over the top. There might be too many holes on this team. We're finding that out. The Jets and Seahawks had their way with you, bro. That is an identity crisis.
Right, but the Seahawks, so this is what I'm saying. The Seahawks don't line Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is small and quick and shifty and a nasty route runner with great hands, elusiveness, quickness, but who is small. They don't line him up at X and say, hey, go beat your man 50 times a game. And then we're going to force feed you, 12 balls that have very low uncatchable rates, a la George Pickens. Okay, that's not what the Seattle Seahawks do. They line JSN up all over the field. They have him run the full route tree. He goes left, he goes right, he goes in, he goes out, he goes short, he goes deep. The Steelers are basically doing the opposite of that everywhere. They're not taking anyone and saying this is the best thing that they do, short of DK Metcalf in the red zone with the muscle ball for the tutty yesterday. That is scheme, and that is taking a scheme to put your super freak in a position where it's one-on-one and my guy's better than your guy. They're not doing that consistently with DK, and they're not doing it across the other 10 guys from snap to snap throughout the game.
I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a hell of a talent. I think he's going to jump right into top 10 wide receivers. His quickness, the precision of his routes, his hands.
He's the reason DK is in Pittsburgh. When DK got hurt last year and JSN took off, that JSN made DK expendable. He's that good.
You don't have a player like that, and then, of course, you don't have an offensive coordinator like that. I think in today's NFL, you need the best players and the best schemes to consistently get it done. Number 4, overreaction or reality. Is Mike Tomlin's play calling way too cowardly? Punting near midfield, a tie game, 4th and 1.
The whole team's hurt.
No other coach in the NFL decides to punt in that situation. He says he punted because he wanted to protect the defense by pinning Seattle instead of turning it over at midfield. That just shows no confidence in your offense at all. If you don't think you can even get a single yard, just go home at that point. But it ends up being the drive that that Seattle takes the lead on there with the field goal 17-14. Then the Kaleb Johnson play happens, and you never have a chance to get back in the game after that point. I think they got what they coached for.
Yeah, I mean, what is one of the great Tomlinisms is we're not going to live in our fears. Like, he certainly feels like someone who's coaching from a place of fear. What message do you signal to your team where you see Aaron Rodgers on any fourth down, wherever they are on the field. He looks to the sideline and he goes, because he wants to go for it every time. He was doing that early in the game. There was a couple where maybe you roll the dice, try to get something going. And you go, okay, this is ebb and flow. We're playing Seattle. This should may become a tug of war thing, but we're going to put ourselves in a position to pull away from them. And then you're in a position to hit the gas, and instead you mash the brakes, right? Like, to your point, if you can't get a yard, go home, right? And when you look at what this team is, that situation was exactly what I've been talking about for 20 minutes. That is exactly the type of litmus test, exactly the type of in-game situation that you crave, because you can't replicate it in practice. No matter how hard Cam or anybody else goes in practice, it's not the same thing as playing another team and another scheme and going all out with the game on the line. And for them to not just put their hands in the dirt and say, I don't even care who the running back was. I don't care what the play call was. Like, just jam it up in there and go get 3 feet and find out if you have that ability with this team.
Yeah, I mean, put Mason Rudolph in there and sneak it. Try some things. Seattle has no problem putting their tight end there at Wildcat, or they even try to push there. And they were successful with it with a tight end. So,
yeah, and you're only going to see more stuff with Milroe, and you've got a number of different teams. Seattle with the tight end, and you see that with Mahomes, right? Because he hurt his knee a few years ago, and what they do with Kelsey and others. And it's just all these other teams. We're not even talking about imagination and innovation and next level offense and creativity and all. We're not asking for the world. We're not asking for our cake and want to eat it too, or whatever other cliche or verging on Tomlinism that you could bring into the room. We're just asking you to line up and tell us who you are. And right now, it ain't good enough.
Well, it might be good enough against Cincinnati, as the news coming off of the Bengals.
Pray for Joe Burrow.
Week 2 is that he's got a turf toe situation. He's going to be out
Surgery.
3 months.
Yeah, grade 3. Pray for Brandon Wayman, man.
Yeah, the creative director here of the Knoll Road. Salute to Wayman there in Cincinnati. Week 6 and Week 10 Steelers-Bengals, so you're for sure going to miss Burrow on both games. I think this does bring in, if you can handle Cleveland twice, looks like a wild card team to me, best case scenario for these Steelers.
My favorite, it's so bad, but it was just going viral about how there's 100 million overweight people in America, and they can't find 5 fat people to just get in the way to keep Joe Burrow healthy. And then there's
most hit quarterback since he entered the league. Like, it's unfortunate. Burrow's career is going to be significantly reduced because he's in Cincinnati, just generally speaking. The fact that he made a Super Bowl once already is a miracle and a testament to his talent. But
remember what they had to do to get
now?
there?
What's that?
Remember what they had to do to get there? Remember the record he set on the way to that Super Bowl? They got sacked 9 times and beat.
Oh, that's right. If I'm him and his agent, I know we're Ohio guys. We need to get out of here. Let's go to New Orleans.
The great thing. How could you imagine? He probably changed the spelling of his name like he did for senior day at LSU. Could you go back in time and you remember the meme about how you draft Penny Sewell and it's Joe Burrow, Penny, and then he can throw to everybody, and then underneath that was you have Joe Burrow and you draft Jamar Chase, and it was like literally the ball goes 2 feet because he's just getting hit on every play, and that's literally what his career has played out like. And it's unfortunate because you could argue that he's the best quarterback in the NFL, and he's right there. And what he's able to do under duress is the same kind of conversation that we're about to have with Aaron Rodgers going forward, because father time, undefeated, cruel mistress, all the elements of turning 42 in December and being on the wrong side of a lot of hits. And actually the one when he made that throw that I was talking about earlier, he got planted on his right shoulder. You've talked about how he's broken the collarbone. He's had some other, injuries throughout his career. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say he's a bird bone guy, but it's not like he's a massive human being, and bones don't get less brittle over time. And it's only you just every time you see him go down at this point, you kind of hold your breath because he's not just getting these glancing blows and tripping over traffic cones. He's getting drilled. And
he's the toughest quarterback in the NFL by far when it comes to facing that man in his face and letting it go with accuracy.
So then he's also arguably the craftiest. That play action fake early where he's the dude, the defensive end runs right by him and he's got the ball because he wrong hands the handoff and then turns around and just flicks that magical right wrist. And you go through the process of this thing and you go, what does Aaron Rodgers still do well? Put the ball anywhere you want to. What does Aaron Rodgers struggle with? Movement. What's the biggest pain point going to be with this team if Aaron Rodgers goes down? Why are we not doing everything in our power to keep him clean? Why are we not playing off of the things that think about the tight window throws that he's capable of making, and now give him a little bit of room off play action. Give him a little bit of room because you stretch the defense and you take a shot, even if it doesn't hit. And now the defense maybe has to slide into some Tampa stuff where you get one of these nasty, like, where's Jonnu Smith up the seam? Where's Pat Freiermuth eating dudes in the middle of the field? That's where he eats. That's what Freiermuth's out there to do. And, Darnell Washington's a red zone nightmare, but when you're asking him to run dig routes and be a true functional, like, receiving element, and it's really the George Pickens conversation in reverse. Everything we wanted them to do with Pickens expansion almost needs to be truncated with this tight end room. And
I mean, that 2-point conversion play certainly worked well.
That's what I'm saying. 0, 9, and 1.
Yeah.
And then, get these guys, because if you're gonna play Washington, his greatest threat is red zone and blocking, right? Blocking and red zone. So if you've got that sixth offensive lineman who's such a devastating blocker that we basically want him to go to Pizza Hut and become the left tackle and eat his way into Broderick Jones's job, then let's let him and Broderick Jones go beat people up. Let's go rock steady and bebop and just get after it.
Yeah, I guess that's the hope, is that there are enough good players that if a light bulb comes on for the coaching staff or the front office says, hey, guys, we gave you a much better team than this. We need you to redesign some stuff and rethink things, or we're going to find ourselves in the most disappointing season in all of the NFL. There's a chance. I'd like to use Washington more as a possession target. Let's get 4 to 6 yards and use it as a replacement for, what we're not getting in the run game, just to make them defend the entire field. I do want to make a point here as we're going through overreaction or reality that you could have won this game. So many things went against the Steelers, and one of them was Seattle having more than 100 yards of total offense than you. But you look at settling for field goals, you look at the special teams disaster, you look at Calvin Austin coming out of nowhere to deflect the ball that I think was intended for Freiermuth. It ends up with Darian Kenrick. Like, what the hell happened there? I don't think Austin was even the target of that play. And
Muth.
This is what Aaron Rodgers gives you, though, is belief that if you can keep it close, he'll figure out a way to get it done in the last 5 minutes of the game like they did against the Jets. So I don't want to say the sky is totally falling yet, but there is a lot to clean up here as we start to get ready here for week 3 now.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what's going to be the most telling thing is you talk about overreaction or reality. What does week 3 look like? Because it can't look the same. You can't have Jalen Ramsey getting beat because he thinks he has inside help. You can't have dudes who've never caught the ball before catching their first career touchdown against you. That was something I was going to say earlier is, it's not just the numbers. And excuse me, these kids are killing me. School, have kids, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
That 19 is back, boy. I think you're fighting through it well, though. You just muted yourself.
Yeah, no, I did on purpose.
Good.
Good. It's not just the data points and the counting stats where you're saying, look at this guy and his yards per carry. Look at this team and how many yards they ran for. It's dudes you've never heard of doing what they just did for the first time in their NFL career. Like, think about that. Yeah. You could say, oh, well, we're accounting for Cooper Kupp and we're accounting for Jackson Smith-Njigba and Kenneth Walker III. Cool. Why is Jalen Ramsey covering the dude who caught the ball then? Or what is Jalen Ramsey not getting from his safeties? Can we get Minkah Fitzpatrick back in the Tyreek Hill trade? Like, all kidding aside, as we go through whatever change may or may not come from a personnel perspective, scheme-wise, when you come out in week 3, your hair better be on fire. Like, you better be getting holding penalties, even to the point of personal fouls, like playing to the echo of the whistle and then some, because you couldn't have beat the Cleveland Browns yesterday. You couldn't have beat the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday. You couldn't have go through the list of whoever you think the worst team in the league is. Like, the Seattle Seahawks are not a matchup problem. They're not a talent problem.
You should have punished them.
Yes.
Yeah, you should have kept them under 20.
Yes. And as you go forward, now you're going to get the Ravens. You're going to show up and you're going to bow up. And now all of a sudden we're going to talk to each other. And we're going to play our roles and responsibilities. And Keanu Benton's going to be in there mauling people because it's Lamar Jackson and King Henry. And you better pack a lunch. Yesterday needed to be one of those days where you sent a message.
Well, first up, it's going to be the Patriots in New England, where I don't think the Steelers have won in 17 years, something like that.
Tom Brady living rent-free forever.
Going to be a 1-point favorite going to New England, which suggests the odds makers think you're about 4 points better than New England. So I guess that's the good news. Loudermilk and Alex Highsmith have high ankle sprains, and we'll get updates on that during Coach Tomlin's Tuesday presser. So we're looking forward to that. The Knoll Road brought to you by Bet Online, up to $250 in free bets if you use our bonus referral link in the description. We'll be back midweek to start looking at those Patriots and give you an update on all the storylines here. For New Bear, I'm Dawson. Till then, we'll see you on the Knoll Road.